Okay, in this video we're going to cover how we got this sci-fi look on the Stingray canopy. We're going to start out with the standard clear canopy and show you all the steps to end up with this final look. Okay, first thing we need to gather up what we're going to need to make the canopy. You're going to start with your clear Stingray canopy. You're going to need body reamer, cutting scissors for bodies, some pinstriping tape, some black and white paint, some Pactor paint for car bodies, about 24 inches of super bright LEDs, your batteries to power them, a 3-cell LiPo, some Velcro to tie everything down, and some sandpaper, about 300 to 400 grit sandpaper. Initially, you can either paint this without trimming it, or you can paint it by trimming it first. One advantage of trimming it first is you're going to have less wasted paint, less extra stuff to paint on. The disadvantage is if you trim it first, you need to go back on the outside and add some tape around the outside so there's no, if the outer plastic peels a little bit, it won't overspray onto the body. I often don't trim it first. I often paint it first, then trim it, but that's your choice. For trimming it, just trim along the body lines using your scissors. Then to get your mounting points, you can take a stock canopy and simply lay it on top. You lay it on top of the new canopy. You can see how much it overlaps. It overlaps just slightly. So mark your holes just a tiny bit lower on the clear body than it was on the stock body. On the sides, on the top is just same spot, just straight down. Then take your body reamer and ream those hole positions. Again, you can do this before or after painting. I often do it after painting, but that's your choice. The bottom, you just ream the holes as they're shown, actually already dimpled in the body, and then trim it with your cutters. Then what you're going to want to do is go through and sand the entire body, both top and bottom, with your 300 to 400 grit sandpaper. You want a really dull finish over the entire thing from the inside. Again, the outside's got a film on it, so you don't want to sand that. But you want to sand the entire inside with your sandpaper to get a good dull finish. Then we're going to move on to our next step, which is to actually choose your scheme and start pinstriping it. Okay, one tip when you're going to do the taping on the inside for your painting, because you have a thin plastic film over this canopy, you can kind of do whatever you want to on the outside, drawing wise, to use as lines to follow. Like here we took a marker and just highlighted the seams in the canopy, and then on the inside we'll just follow with tape. Now if you want to have the lines follow the natural window lines of the Stingray, the thing you can do is take your old decal sheet after you've removed your actual decal window decal, and just cut it out and just tape it to the outside of the canopy and use that on the inside if you want to follow it with some tape lines. Just an easy little template. You can do other things. You can also do letters, all kinds of things, and just stick them on the inside for when you can do the painting. That's just a few little hints to get you started on your painting lines. Okay, after we've got all the lines drawn out on the canopy on the outside, along with our template for our windows, we're going to go through the inside of the body and sand it. This is with some 320 grit paper we had. You want to go through and sand everything, especially in the lines where you're going to tape it, so that it'll make it diffuse properly with the LEDs. Go through and sand the whole body all the way through on the inside. Do the same thing on the bottom of the canopy as well. Okay, now after you finish sanding the inside of the canopy, go back through and clean it with just denatured alcohol just to get the dust off. Then you can go back in and start laying your tape in from the inside, following your lines that you drew. Just set it in here with your trim tape. Line it down and press it down. Main thing when you're painting, before you paint, go back through and check all the places it goes over the corners and make sure it's well pressed down. If you have to, use a screwdriver or a razor or something to make sure all the corners are pressed down before you paint it. Otherwise, it'll seep in underneath the tape when you paint. But go back through and go ahead and tape up all the lines, and then we'll get to our next step. Okay, we got it all taped up. Now we're getting ready to put the first coat of paint on. We're going to start with the black as our first layer. When you're painting, just kind of paint side to side at a distance from the canopy and do light coats, maybe 3 or 4 light coats so you don't get runs in the canopy. Okay, now we've got it completely blacked out on the inside. It's about 3 coats of black. You can, when you're painting it, you kind of hold it up to the light and look and make sure there's no areas that it's still showing through. And in between coats, you can hit it with just a light hair dryer kind of far away and watch the lights shine on it. And as it goes dull, you know it's dry, and then you can add the next coat. So you can do the coats pretty fast. Now that we've got the black on there good, we know it's dry. Next we're going to do a couple of coats of the white as a good backing. Okay, now we're spraying on the white undercoating and the black. Again, you just do light dusting coats on the first coat. Do 2 or 3 coatings to get a nice layering on the bottom. Okay, now we have a good base coat on there with the white cover coat. We're going to let it, make sure it's good and dry. We hit it with a hairdryer for a bit just so it doesn't have any more shiny spots. We're going to let it dry a little longer, then we'll start pulling the tape off. Make sure there's no areas where it overran. Then we'll go from there. Okay, now after it's dried, you can go back in and pull all the striping tape off, pull the plastic covering off. Then you can go back in where there's a few little areas in the paint where it overflowed or something. You can take a little X-Acto and just clean those up just a little bit. Let it dry overnight, and then we'll come back in and show you how to lay out the LEDs so you get the best final effect. Okay, now we got the canopy all done. It dried overnight. Now we've cut a strip of the LED lights and have test fitted it inside the canopy. The way we're mounting it is just taking Velcro, put on the backing of the LEDs, putting Velcro in the canopy. Now to get this Velcro to stick, you tend to have to cut the paper backing off and put the Velcro directly to the sticky part, otherwise it won't tend to stick. We just did that in each location. Stick it down, and then we got the battery here on center. We've still got to add our leads to go to the LEDs, but this is just a test fit all the way down. I think this is about a 19-inch strip down the length of the canopy on the top, facing down toward the rest of the machine, down to the whole white shell of the canopy. Next step is we're going to wire it up and test light it up and see how it lights up the canopy. Okay, now we've got our LED strip wired up. Make sure when you wire your LED strip you get the positive and negative correct. If you've got it backwards, then it won't light up. Simply reverse them and get it correct. We've also noticed with some of these LiPo batteries, the positive and negative varies on which ones you get, so make sure to check yours before you plug it into your charger. You wouldn't be happy if you plugged it in the wrong way, so just make sure to confirm that. Other than that, it's ready to go. We can do a little light up here, show you what it looks like lit up. Nicely lit up. Next we'll get it on the model. Now we have the canopy just mounted on the model. One nice thing about this setup is everything is simply isolated to the canopy. It's nothing you actually have to do on the model itself. So you just pop the old canopy, regular canopy off, pop the night canopy on, and you're ready to go. In this video, all we've shown you is how to light the top canopy. You can do exactly the same thing for the bottom canopy. One way we recommend doing it is simply have about a 6-inch strip of LEDs. Run a positive and negative off of your LED strip on the top. It's just kind of a loose strip with a little bit of Velcro. You can run it down inside your bottom canopy and Velcro it in, and then when you're done you can just pull it back out, keep it with your top canopy, and then put your regular canopy back on. So you don't have to have a night dedicated machine, but you could. It's your choice. Main thing is when you're running from top to bottom, make sure you keep your wires away from your motor so you're not going to short anything against the motor. Okay, for those of you interested in lighting up the bottom of the canopy also, we mocked up an LED strip for the bottom area just to give you an idea of one way to do it. This is, I think, about a 12-inch strip. I recommend it 1.6 inch, but you could use longer as well. The big thing is the way we soldered this. We soldered it going back and overlapping behind the strip towards the front. Did the same thing on the inside, so when we plug it in, it's creating a loop that will, as you close, will tend to push this away from anything like the motor, so you won't have any cases where this is going to hit the motor. That's really about the only concern if you're going to have a removable one, is to make sure that it tends to want to go away from the motor when you close the canopy. But that's just a basic install idea, and then you're going to put it in there to give you your best illumination based on what you did with your graphics on the inside. Okay, now that you've completed your basic night canopy, to get the different color effects, all you're going to do is just simply change the LED colors that you're using. You can go anything from blue to green to red to yellow, white, any kind of color you want to pick. Just change out your LED colors and the same canopy will give you several different effects.